Hello, this is the first of two videos on what sociologists term the agencies of socialization. This one dealing with families and schooling. Individuals are socialized by and through a variety of formal and informal means. For almost everyone, these include the family and the groups of friends we join as children, but commonly also include schooling and the mass media. Religious groups and the means of livelihood and recreation we adopt can also play a major role, particularly in terms of what we have termed here secondary socialization. Families of origin are of particular importance in primary socialization. These are the initial socializing agency for almost everyone, and for very young children constitute almost their entire social world. Family relationships are also normally particularly intense and long-lasting, and so are likely to have a profound impact on the growing child and remain significant into adulthood. Like other agencies of socialization, families provide the child with both explicit instruction and implicit example. Thus, parents will commonly try to train children in what they regard as correct behavior, including toilet training, how to eat politely, how to get dressed, and whatever constitutes morality and good manners in their particular society. For example, telling children not to lie and not to steal. At the same time, the families also serve as unconscious models for their children, who readily copy what they see as their parents' behaviors, including habits such as smoking, which the parents may then actually tell the child not to follow. Older siblings and other family members also provide mentors and models for the growing child. The family is the locus in which the child first begins to locate themselves socially, both in terms of their gender identity, with most children coming to identify with the same-sex parent and modeling their own behavior on them, and more widely their family's place in society, with an awareness of whatever social differences are important in the local social milieu, including relative wealth, power, education, religion, and ethnicity. In terms of both gender and social position, parents may explicitly instruct their children to follow the required social conventions, but much of the child's learning is likely to be indirect, as he or she observes society around them and frequently unconsciously imbibes the prejudices of their parents and other family members. Families vary enormously, of course. The parent's own social position will directly impact the child's life opportunities and experiences. The experience of normality for a child in a rich family with servants and access to expensive schooling and holidays will be very different from one who lives in a slum, a ghetto, or a refugee camp. Parents who have to work long and exhausting hours in order to make a living will have less time to interact with their children than those who have ample time at home. Hobbies and lifestyle will also be important. Parents who read a lot and have a lot of books are more likely to have children who enjoy reading than those who don't. Parents who take their children swimming frequently are more likely to raise swimmers. Again, styles of parenting vary greatly. Some parents are strict and others permissive, and whilst some try to persuade their children to follow the rules that they set through explaining them, others may emphasize unquestioning obedience and threaten punishment for disobedience. Some parents are very loving, others harsh or abusive. Some engender a sense of trust in their children. Others seem unreliable. Some help the child to develop a sense of autonomy, self-confidence, and ability. Others devalue the child's ideas and try to micromanage their lives. Some parents raise their children to understand complex, educated language. Others don't. Parents serve as role models, and as such can shape the child's sense of normality, whether for good or for ill. This includes examples such as domestic violence and alcoholism. Parents' expectations for their children may also bear heavily on them and engender a sense of guilt if they're not attained. Even siblings raised together may have very different experiences of childhood, with parents treating sons and daughters differently, or showing greater respect to the oldest child and expecting them to do more, or praising the personal abilities of one sibling over another. Children in very large families will experience a different life from those who are only children. Children in polygynous households may find their life chances impacted by the relative status of their mother. Children in stable families have a different life experience from those in unstable ones. Families change over time. Parents age and eventually die. Some parents divorce and later remarry, so that the growing child may have to learn how to deal with step-parents and step-siblings. Nuclear families may move away from their original neighborhoods, making contact with the wider network of the extended family more tenuous. Families may relocate to foreign countries for work or to escape persecution or war, causing children to become distant from their culture of origin. Now let's turn to schooling. Mass schooling has only become common in most of the world in the past century, but there are still a few countries in which many children do not go to school, particularly if they are girls. It has become a common experience for most children, however, and a major part of their lives. The length and quality of formal schooling which children undergo varies considerably, both internationally and within countries, with major consequences. Schooling comprises both explicit and implicit elements. The formal curriculum varies, but is likely to include education in specific skills and areas of knowledge such as reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also perhaps other academic subjects such as literature, history, and geography, or sports, and in some cases vocational skills as preparation for work after school, such as gardening in countries where most people are engaged in agriculture and computing. Many schools also emphasize social values such as formal moral and religious instruction, national allegiance, and life skills, including education about sex, drugs, and personal health care. In some countries, presentations of national history may be very selective and charged with nationalistic and political rhetoric and bias. Given that there are often differences in cultural emphasis, both between and within societies, there may be considerable public controversy, both about nationalistic accounts of history and the contrast between religious and secular worldviews. In addition to this explicit public curriculum, sociologists recognize a second hidden curriculum. This consists of implicit rather than clearly stated educational objectives, such as the inculcation of such values as punctuality, regimentation, obedience, perseverance, and the building of character. Schooling also reinforces the cultural values of particular societies, whether in terms of encouraging collaboration between children in class projects or stressing individual performance and competition in evaluated work. In some countries, a few experimental schools may de-emphasize school discipline, but they're a tiny minority. There are important social contexts. Individual schools develop their own specific cultures, which are formed by the pupils as much as by the teachers and staff. These can include both social snobbery, academic excellence, academic failure, and a culture of cheating. There are also interactions between different schools, sometimes with intense local rivalries, which may include fights between gangs from rival schools. In Europe, twinning exchanges with schools in other countries are quite common, leading to transnational contacts and friendships between pupils of different nationalities. Many schools insist on pupils wearing school uniforms, a custom which reinforces the sense of school identity and may also, according to its proponents, lessen social distance between children from different backgrounds by giving them a common set of clothes to wear rather than one differentiated by culture or wealth. There are also social interactions which the schools provide with other pupils. These are likely to vary with the size of the school. In a small rural school, everyone may know everyone else, but in a large urban school, there may be thousands of pupils, and children will generally stick with their immediate classmates. For many children, these social interactions may be more important than the formal curriculum. Away from home, and with perhaps large numbers of children of a similar age with whom they interact for a number of years, pupils essentially form their own mini-society. They may form long-lasting friendships with other pupils, or make enemies, or form or join gangs. They may experience bullying, or themselves become bullies. They may be mixed in with children from different social and ethnic backgrounds, either forming new and unexpected friendships with people who are very different from themselves, or replicating the social divisions of the outside world in their school. They may engage in status competition, in clothes and brand name chic of certain bags and shoes, or they may divide into rival cliques on the basis of an interest in sports or academic work. For a minority of the world's youth, the school experience is extended for several extra years in full-time university or vocational college education. This experience is fundamental to most people who aspire to higher status jobs, and is selective and often extremely competitive. Sociologically, universities and vocational colleges essentially replicate the several facets of ordinary schooling outlined above, but for an older age group. In most countries, a disproportionate number of university students come from more affluent social groups, but as at the school level, a small number of students from less affluent backgrounds may also attend through the provision of scholarships. Both schooling and university education can therefore provide an important means of upward social mobility. Thank you for listening. If you like these videos, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. I will try to answer any questions you may have about this video in a future one. By the way, those who want to support the development of the channel can do so through Patreon or PayPal. I'll give details below the video. You can also click the like button so that I can have an idea of which videos are of greatest interest to viewers. Have a good week. Have a good day. I nearly said have a good week, but have a good week as well, everyone. Next week, I'll talk about peer groups and the mass media. Thank you.